Okay. This is the next attempt. I think I know what happened. If you've stuck with me through all of the problems. Oh, I'm getting people telling me that internet providers all around the city are having interruptions. Interesting. But anyway, if you've stuck with me through all of this, if you're not here anymore, I totally understand. That's wow, it was just cutting in and out, in and out. That is just awful. I did find some issues with my OBS. For some reason, I was set to my bitrate was set to 7,000, but I was trying to output at 2K, which means that I needed more than that. I needed my bitrate was too low for the amount of output that I was trying to do. So I'm not trying to stream in 2K, which is weird because on Twitch, and I don't know, maybe YouTube had it in 2K. I don't know. But I have it scaled down to 1080p, and I have my bitrate back at 6,000 kilobytes. So we're gonna see if that works. I have some other friends who are telling me that they're having internet issues too that are kind of happening all around the city. That being said, it says that I'm connected to YouTube and Twitch, but yet I cannot pull up my own live feed. So I don't know if it's actually working. There it is. Since when does Restream put a watermark? Oh, I know why I put a watermark. I don't like that. I'll change it later. Okay, let's just do a quick check. Okay. So if you're here, awesome. If you're not here, I totally understand. But I do. So yeah, I think I fixed the issue. There's two things that are going on. Actually, there's like three things that are going on. One, I went and checked my switch, and the port that my cable is plugged into that goes to my computer, the light wasn't on. So that means that it wasn't receiving internet or something. So I changed its port, so that's good. And then I also just unplugged from both ends and then replugged it in. I also shut down my computer and started it back up again. I also went through my settings of OBS, and what I was saying earlier is that I was streaming in 2K with a bit rate of 7,000. Which is like not good. You need 10,000 or more. And then but I also don't want to stream in 2K, which is weird because I don't think it was like working in 2K. Like I don't think anyone was getting it in that high of definition. So I knocked it back down to 1080p, and I knocked my bitrate down to 6,000, so that should work. I shouldn't be getting any more weird issues about anything, but I also been getting text messages from a few friends who said that all of their internet is just kind of like really spotty right now just around the city. So I don't really know what to make of that, but I digress. Whoops, here we go. We're gonna be focusing on this. We're gonna try to get through this. And because this broke, since I turned off my computer or whatever, it just says that I'm one of 6. So it doesn't have the other questions that we already gone through. But just so you can see, this is what it means by Wi-Fi channels. So 2.4, 2.425, 2.450, 2.475, and then 2.5. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully I don't, because my test. Oh, do you have to take one of your tests today? Good luck. Okay, I hope everything goes well for you. It also generated 2. I don't know why it generated 2, but we have 2 diagrams right here. Frequencies in the interface and the channel overlap. You want the channels to overlap like this. Otherwise, there's going to be interference. Actually, no, I think you wanted to overlap. So, like, if I'm on channel 1, it's best for you to be, I think, on channel 7 or 9. We're going to have to dive more into that. Anywho, the answers, let's just read this question. We'll read the top answer here, and then we'll move on with our lives.
A wireless engineer implements a new double Wi-Fi network. The engineer carefully planned the deployment of access points, APs, to maintain a configuration spacing of 25 mxz. Which of the following is associated with the configured value? Select 2.
Okay, so basically, what did he do in order to come up with this? What did he factor in? He factored in interference and channel overlap. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go for it.
A wireless laptop at an organization is not able to access any internal network resources, but can browse the internet. An IT support specialist finds the cause of the problem after examining the laptop. Based on the symptoms, what does the specialist most likely conclude the issue to be?
Wrong service set identifier. Okay. Let's throw this bad boy into ChatGPT. We'll let it generate. Next question, and then we'll get rid of, we don't need this. We don't need that. We don't need that. Whoops. Don't need that. Okay, generate for me, please. Piece of me thinks that it's because I asked it to make a thing, but that's not what it is. Anyway, thank you guys for being back here and putting up with the stream constantly coming down and going up. I really appreciate the viewership.
A wireless laptop at an organization is not able to access any internal network resources, but can browse the internet. An IT support specialist finds the cause of the problem after examining the laptop.
Okay, I remember reading this question because I was like, it better not be wrong passphrase. Like, if this dude wasn't able to get onto the network resources because he was too stupid to type in his correct password, I was gonna be real upset. Okay, but it looks like the wrong service set identifier is there, but that means that he's like legitimately on the wrong Wi-Fi. Like, that's like if you're at school and you have like faculty and then you have students. If I join the students, I'm on the wrong SSID. How could you be set up on the, like, that's also really, really stupid. That's like,
a service set identifier SSID identifies a network. Connecting to an incorrect network is common when a location has multiple networks with varying access to resources, such as found with a guest network versus a private network.
yes. Okay, that's exactly what I just said. So this guy's just an idiot and doesn't know, like, he's a faculty and he doesn't know he should be signed up for this one. Now, to be fair, I'm sure there's some businesses that have it labeled like NX-T45, and then you need to be on NXD-16. You know, like, they probably have dumb names. There's a lot of technicians out there that are like socially awkward and don't think like normies. Like, if you're gonna be a technician, like, you have to think like a normie. You have to think like someone who has no idea what they're doing. Otherwise, life's gonna go bad for you. All right, let's see what this has to say.
Let's walk through this using your 5-part method. 1. Restate the question. A wireless laptop can access the internet but cannot access internal network resources. What's the most likely cause? 2. Simplified answer. Wrong service set identifier SSID. 3. Analogy. Imagine you're at a large office complex with 2 cafeterias, one for guests and one for employees. Both have food, internet access, but only the employee cafeteria gives you access to company benefits, internal network. If you accidentally walk into the guest cafeteria, wrong SSID, you still get lunch internet, but no access to employee-only tools. 4. In-depth explanation. In this scenario, the laptop is likely connected to a guest network SSID that's segregated from the internal network for security reasons. Companies often use separate SSIDs for guests, internet only, no access to file servers, printers, etc., internal use, full access to internal resources and the internet.
Okay, so this is just like how it works at school, where my computer is set up on the teacher's internet, so I have access to the printer, but students' computers are set up on the student network and they do not have access to the printer. So it's all grouped together with the SSID. Interesting. Couldn't you also achieve the same results using VLANs and subnetting. But that might be a huge waste of IP addresses if you do that with subnetting. Okay, anyway.
That's why the laptop can browse websites but cannot see network drives, shared folders, or internal applications. It's on the wrong double Wi-Fi. This issue is not due to security type mismatch that would prevent any connection at all. Wrong passphrase, again, that would block access entirely. Incorrect antenna type would affect signal strength, not network segmentation. 5. Real-world example. An employee connects their laptop to company guest instead of company secure. They can check Gmail and browse the web, but they can't access shared drives, internal apps, or network printers. The IT support specialist discovers the SSID is incorrect and reconnects the laptop to company secure, restoring full access. Would you like to see a diagram showing SSID segmentation?
No. Can you imagine being the guy at the help desk and someone handing you a computer be like, it won't work? And you're like, and you look and it says Wi-Fi guest. And then you're like, yeah, here you go. And like, imagine you don't even say anything. You don't make the guy sound stupid at all. You just like, you're like, yeah, here, click, 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 click. You like look at them in their eye like, hey, I'm in. Click, 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 click. And, you know, you just do like a whole bunch of like, you know, you just do a whole bunch of like random crap. And all you're really doing is clicking the correct email, the correct Wi-Fi. And then you sign in for him. And now you look like a god. You're the god of all of internet because you got this guy's poor little laptop to connect to the correct internet. All right. I feel good. I know why that is the way it is. Okay. Let's do this one.
After replacing a wireless network adapter, employees in the corporate office have stopped complaining about issues with transferring large files to a shared drive. What feature of the new wireless access point most likely improved the user's experience?
Now, the reason I figured it was speed, but I didn't really understand what it meant, what Spectrum meant in this context. So I'm very interested to see what that's going to say. Okay. Speechify has forsaken me. Nope. One more try. Okay. Speed refers to how fast a piece of network equipment can transfer data. Older access points may have a slower speed, such as a theoretical upload speed of 150 megabytes per second, while newer ones may be 2 or 3 times faster than that. Yeah, obviously. Spectrum analyzer. Usually a handheld device. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Usually a handheld device is used to analyze radio or electrical interference. The exact location can be pinpointed using this device. Let's get a picture of this thing. Let's see what this is. Look up spectral analyzer. Whoa, this thing looks dope. What? That looks sick. Are we measuring spectrums? Or are we measuring like heart rate? Like, Jesus. They come in little handhelds. I want one. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I want one. I guess I'm going to go around measuring frequencies. You need a frequency to be measured? I'm your guy. All right. Anyway, so that makes sense. It also makes sense that it's speed. They just increased the speed, and now large files can now transfer to the shared drive. It's probably that it's probably not that they were not transferring. It's probably that they were so massive that it's gonna take so long. That also matters about your RAM too, by the way. I remember one instance where this teacher, he had to record 45 minutes to an hour of him giving a meeting for his master's program, and he did it all on an iPad. So he needed to upload it to a Google Drive for it to be sent. And he's like, hey, it's not uploading. Well, because iPads don't have a lot of RAM. Well, most tablets don't have, well, tablets nowadays kind of do. This was a few years ago. I told him that he literally needed to sit there and not let the screen black out, because if the screen blacked out, it was going to stop. So he literally sat there for like 45 minutes to like upwards of 2 hours. I remember it was a long time. He was in my room for a long time, and like every whatever, we just kept touching the screen because for some reason the timeout screen wouldn't. We couldn't change the timeout screen. But yeah. Anyway, moving forward. I said moving forward. There we go. Throughput. This one
An
was easy.
administrator expects a newly installed network cable to operate at 1 Gbps. However, when the administrator tests the cable, the speed never reaches that speed. What is the actual performance of the data traveling across the cable called?
Okay, so the actual performance of the data traveling across the cable. So this is another one of those things where you have to figure out what is it actually asking. Okay, the reason speed is here because it says traveling across the cable makes you think that the speed is going to be it, but the word performance gets rid of speed. Speed is not a performance. Okay, power over Ethernet, so that's the PoE. So it says performance, but PoE is not data traveling across a cable. Okay, attenuation is the degradation of the actual frequency over the wire. Okay, so you want to be careful with that. So like this is actually the exact opposite of what's going on in this question. Okay, that's why it's throughput. So by the power of process of elimination, we know that it's throughput. But what is throughput, that you may ask? Throughput is legitimately, the definition is the measurement of data transferring across the cable. It's a little bit more than that.
Throughput is an average data transfer rate achieved over a period of time, excluding errors incurred at the physical and data link layers, and measured at the network or transport layer.
So it's a little bit more technical than what I had said, but it's still, that's what it is. It's the average data transfer rate that is achieved through a period of time. So think of it as like kind of like miles per hour. It's how fast are you going per time, except it's excluding any bathroom breaks. No bathroom breaks. So how long is it going to take you to go from Galveston to Dallas? And how fast how long is it going to take you, regardless, and totally excluding bathroom breaks, eating, and all that type of stuff. Okay, so that's the throughput, and that's basically what Google Maps gives you when you ask where to go, because it's not factoring in anytime you're going to go to the bathroom, anytime you're going to get food. It's just factoring in how long that it's going to take, okay, and how fast you're going to go. All right, cool. So that's throughput. Let's move on. And next,
employees in a certain office area are complaining that it is difficult to browse the web while on the wireless network. The network engineer reconfigures the access point to a lesser used frequency to limit the surrounding business's wireless issues. What is the most likely issue that the network engineer resolved?
I'm remembering this more from my A+ certification. I'm pretty sure the best scenario is for someone to be on channel 1 and then someone else to be on channel 9, because, or no, maybe it's channel 11, because then there's no overlap at all. You can get away with like 7 or 8, but when it's really close together, there can be interference. Okay, here we go.
When multiple access points use the same channel, opportunities to transmit are reduced. Channel utilization can be measured from the access point or using a Wi-Fi analyzer. As a design goal, a channel should exhibit no more than 50% utilization.
Okay, then that makes sense. 50% utilization. Okay. Normally we would dive a little bit harder into this, but because the stream keeps dying and all this stuff, whatever, we're a little bit behind, I want to just go ahead and go forward. Maybe when I start doing because I'm going to review all sections next week. Okay, I'm going to pick a section every single day of the week, and we're going to go through all sections, and those are going to be long streams. Okay, and we'll go over it then.
A system administrator recently upgraded the network connection of the corporate office from 10 Mbps download and 1 Mbps upload to 500 Mbps download and 50 Mbps upload. What did the system administrator increase to improve access to the web?
So it's definitely bandwidth. If you do not know what bandwidth is the amount of data that can travel. So think of it like a 1-lane highway versus a 1,000-lane highway. And that's honestly the difference between like DSL and fiber. Like the difference is astronomical. Way back in the day, there used to be this thing known as MySpace. It was a wonderful, horrible social media platform. and you could get in there and you could edit the HTML and the SCC, or no, was it the CSS? Like, you could literally get in there and kind of like change things and really embed stuff. So everyone's MySpace page was really done up over the top. It had moving backgrounds, it had overlays. As soon as you got on there, it was your top 5 songs that immediately played. You had GIFs that were constantly moving, videos that immediately played, your top 5 friends list, like all your statuses, like literally everything would just come up and it was just there, boom. Yeah, it crashed all the time. And it would just be like it was not good at all. You could also have there's no friend limit. I think the friend limit on Facebook is like 5,000. No, like I remember Tila Tequila, the old name. She was the first person to have over 1 million friends. Okay. And that was a big deal, and it slowed everything down. It was crazy. Facebook fixed that issue, by the way, which is why it won. So with the bandwidth, it's not speed or duplex. Duplex has to do with how it talks to each other. Basically, like 2 walkie-talkies. If I'm talking, you can't talk. Otherwise, they collide. But cell phones don't do that. I can talk and you can talk at the same time. Now, I might not hear you because I'm actually physically talking, but for the most part, our things will actually go and be received. It's not memory. That's talking about like RAM, and it's not packet count. That has to deal with encapsulation. Let's see here. Bandwidth, processing load, half duplex. Yeah, here's the duplex. Let's look at the duplex really quick.
Half duplex refers to only being able to transfer or receive one at a time. Full duplex refers to being able to transfer and receive at the same time.
Yeah, memory refers to the computer temporarily storing files. Here it is. This is the other thing. I think this is packet count.
It is often useful to monitor packet counts. High packet counts will incur processing load on the CPU and system memory resources of the
appliance, even if the size of each packet is quite small. So that's what and that's good to know what runts and giants. Okay, let's keep going.
Employees in a certain office area are complaining that it is difficult to browse the web while on the wireless network. The network engineer reconfigures the access point to a lesser used frequency to limit the surrounding business's wireless issues. What is the most likely issue that the network engineer resolved?
Okay, now this is tricky because you first want to think that it's channel utilization, basically, of everything that we've already said, right? But it says the network engineer reconfigures the access point to a lesser frequency. So it could be frequency mismatch to limit the surrounding business wireless. So it's actually, I'm going to say it's going to be a frequency mismatch because it doesn't just say frequency limit, but the surrounding businesses, meaning that there's a lot of different Wi-Fi's going on and they're all on the same frequency. Also, keep in mind that wireless microphones also use frequencies. And every time a new G comes out, like 4G, 5G, 6G, 7G, they literally buy up an entire spectrum of frequency and they kill any microphones that are in that frequency because they can no longer work. Kind of wild. All right. Let's see if we were right. Wrong. Okay, so that means it must have been channel utilization. Oh, maybe distance. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay. What causes congestion on a network? Ooh.
A decrease in network usage.
No.
The use of quality of service QoS mechanisms.
No.
An increase in network security protocols. The network's inability to meet peak load demands.
That one, obviously. Why would it decrease the network usage? That's not going to cause congestion. Think of it like a highway again. What's going to cause congestion on a highway? It's going to be peak loads. It's going to be people trying to go home. Okay? Yeah, we're just going to go ahead. Yeah, done.
A network engineer is investigating an issue with a wireless network. The office building they are in has quite a few different businesses nearby. To resolve the issue, the network engineer switched one of the settings to resolve any conflicts with the other business's wireless networks. What best describes the cause of the issue?
I'm going to say channel overlap. because security type doesn't make sense, speed doesn't make sense, and SSID doesn't make sense. Because just like when you go to like Starbucks or like some establishment like that, you look at the Wi-Fi, you see all the different Wi-Fis, right? Those are all the SSIDs. So let's see if we're right. There we go.
Users are reporting that their phone calls are garbled and are often of poor quality. What should the system administrator investigate first to resolve the issue?
It's either jitter or logging levels. It's not going to be security, and I don't think it's going to be duplex. Because if it was duplex, it's either going to here or not here. It's not going to be jarbled like that. I don't think. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so it's one of those. Okay. What is the most likely cause of a network experience continuing bottlenecks? Experiencing continual bottlenecks. So, seasonal increase of web traffic could be, but it says continual. Occasional video conference, possibly, because if it's occasional, it would be continual. Device related issue, scheduled nightly backups. I'm gonna go with that one. Wrong.
An employee submits a ticket stating that the wireless signal is only 10 strength at their desk, making it hard for the employee to browse the shared drive and internet. What would a network engineer completing a site survey be able to determine is the cause?
Okay, an employee submits a ticket stating that the wireless strength is only 10 strength at their desk. So I'm going to say it's distance. They're probably too far away. There's no way it's interference. There was nothing in here that said anything about interference. There's nothing in here that said if it was incorrect passphrase, you would not be able to log in. Frequency mismatch. I don't think that would have anything to do with it. I'm going for it. Ooh.
A wireless laptop at an organization is not able to access any internal network resources, but can browse the internet. An IT support specialist finds the cause of the problem after examining the laptop.
I feel like we've had this.
Based on the symptoms, what does the specialist most likely conclude the issue to be?
Okay, so we have a wireless laptop. I don't know what laptops are not wireless. At an organization, and it's not able to access. Oh, it is this one because I made that joke about the passphrase. But the browser, he can attack. He can get onto the internet. So it's not wrong phrase types. He's on the wrong SSID. This is where I was talking about where it's like the student and the teacher, the faculty and the guest. Let's go.
A system administrator is investigating an issue with two geographically distant offices. Users at these locations report that accessing the shared drive at the corporate office is taking too long, even though all three locations have gigabit speed internet. What indicator should the system administrator investigate first to help resolve the issue?
I think it's latency. But I'm also starting to realize that I don't fully understand jitter. Okay, it is latency. Let's learn.
Employees in a certain office area are complaining that it is difficult to browse the web while on the wireless network. The network engineer reconfigures the access point to a lesser used frequency to limit the surrounding business's wireless issues. What is the most likely issue that the network engineer resolved?
This one was dirty because it used the word frequency. And it used surrounding businesses. Let's see what ChatBot-GPT has to say about this one. Oh, whoops. And then why it does that, we'll go through all of the different...
When multiple access points use the same channel, opportunities to transmit are reduced. Channel utilization can be measured from the access point or using a Wi-Fi analyzer. As a design goal, a channel should exhibit no more than 50% utilization.
Okay.
To connect to an AP access point, a station must be able to match the standards compatibility and frequency selection configured on the AP. Wireless access points can only broadcast radio signals a certain distance. The further away from the wireless access point, the less signal strength, leading to poor connections. A wireless network can use a pre-shared key, which means using a passphrase. A user connecting to a wireless network will need to know the correct passphrase for authentication.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's walk through this using your 5-part method.
Oh, it's thinking.
1. 3. Analogy. Imagine you're at a crowded party with everyone shouting over each other. It's hard to hear the person next to you. So, you step into a quieter room, less used channel to continue the conversation. And suddenly, everything is clear again. Wi-Fi works the same way. If too many networks, yours and neighboring businesses, are talking over the same frequency channel, your performance suffers. 4. In-depth explanation. Channel utilization refers to how much a specific wireless channel is being used. If multiple nearby Wi-Fi networks are on the same or overlapping channels, especially in 2.4s, it causes congestion and interference. Changing to a less utilized channel reduces collisions and interference, improving speed and reliability. This is not frequency mismatch that would cause total connection failure. For example, trying to connect a 5G device to a 2.4's only AP. Incorrect passphrase.
Okay, that makes sense. So a frequency mismatch is so like I have an Arlo camera, and it's outside. It like helps me watch my dogs or whatever, but it can only operate on a 2.4. It cannot operate on a 5 in terms of Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi that I have, no way that it just cut out like that. No way. Whoa. Buddy. Did it really cut out? Okay. Okay, it's here. I thought I don't know what's going on. The stream almost cut. But anyway, my Arlo camera that I have can only do 2.4, and it connect. But my Eero that I have pushes out a 5G. I actually have to go into its settings and disable the 5G for like 5 minutes. It's even like a little timer. It even says disable 5G for 5 minutes or something like that. And so that way I can connect other things, because it actually outputs both at the same exact time, but to distinguish between the two, it just cuts one off for a little bit. That makes sense why it's not frequency mismatch and why it's channel utilization. All right.
What is the most likely cause of a network experiencing continual bottlenecks?
And it's saying that it's a device-related issue.
Continual bottlenecks in a network are most likely due to device-related issues. This can include hardware that is underpowered, outdated, or malfunctioning, which cannot handle the regular data flow efficiently. Such devices become persistent choke points, reducing the overall network performance regardless of the specific type or volume of traffic. Seasonal increases in web traffic can lead to temporary bottlenecks during specific periods, but are not the cause of continual bottlenecks. Once the seasonal increase subsides, the bottleneck should resolve if the network devices are adequate. Scheduled nightly backups can cause increased network load and potential bottlenecks during the backup window, but these are not continual. The network should return to normal performance after the backups are completed. Occasional video conferencing can strain network resources, leading to temporary bottlenecks, especially if multiple high-definition streams are involved. However, these bottlenecks are event-specific and not continual, resolving once the conferencing activity ends.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. This one was very nuanced, because I'm thinking in the world of today of like how like video conferences happen all the time. So if there's a lot of video conferences that always happen, and they always happen at the same exact time too, you know what I'm saying? So if there's video conferences that are happening every single day at noon, then that is a continual bottleneck. But what did I do? I added more to the scenario than what the question was actually asking. The question was saying that the network is experiencing continual bottlenecks, not that there's meetings that happen every day at noon or anything like that. So therefore, it can't be seasonal because that's ever so often. It literally says occasional. It doesn't say scheduled. And then we have scheduled nightly backups. Really look for these words and figure out what they mean when you're taking a test. When you're doing this stuff, like, and this is something that took me years to understand. I was really old when I finally figured this out. Like scheduled, that makes sense. If it's scheduled, then it's going to be continual. But it says nightly. How many? That's me adding to the scenario. Well, all companies can be working at night. That's not what the question asked. Okay, so device-related issues is the only one that makes sense. All right, jitter. This is the one that I finally have realized that I do not know the more I look at it.
Users are reporting that their phone calls are garbled and are often of poor quality. What should the system administrator investigate first to resolve the issue?
Investigate jitter. Let's get a good definition of jitter.
Defined as being a variation in the delay, jitter manifests itself as an inconsistent rate of packet delivery. Jitter is apparent in phone or voice over internet protocol calls, manifesting as garbled audio.
Okay, so jitter is exactly as I thought it was. It's just jittery. It's going in and out. It's like fluctuating, is exactly as it says. It's hard to describe words like this, like jittery, without using the word, because it's also an experience too. Like, you experience the jitters. Like, you can get jittery around whatever, you know, you're around your crush and you don't know, you kind of fumble on your words, you get all jittery, you get all weird, you know. Let's see what it has to say.
Let's walk through this question using Analogy. Imagine you're watching a movie online and the video keeps stuttering or the dialogue cuts in and out. Even though the data arrives, it's not arriving smoothly. That's jitter. The variation in packet arrival times, which is especially bad for real-time communication like phone calls. 4. In-depth explanation. Jitter is one of the most common causes of poor VoIP voice over IP quality. Here's why. VoIP calls require packets to arrive in a steady, consistent stream. When there's high jitter, packets arrive out of order or unevenly, causing choppy or garbled audio. Jitter is often caused by network congestion, improper QoS quality of service, or hardware buffering issues. Why not the others? Speed duplex settings. 5. Real-world example. A call center complains about robotic-sounding customer calls. The network admin measures jitter on the network and sees spikes during business hours. The fix? Prioritize VoIP traffic using QoS policies and reduce congestion on the network. Would you like to move to the next question?
Okay, so I wonder, does VoIP use TCP or UDP? A piece of me, since it's got to be steady and it's like a live stream, it probably uses UDP, right? That would make the most sense, just like Xbox and stuff like that. Okay, so it makes sense why it's jitter, because the original question is that the reporting phone calls are garbled and are often poor quality. Okay, what was logging levels again? So logging levels, these are tools for diagnosing system logs, not voice quality. Okay, so it's a tool. Okay.
A network engineer is investigating an issue with a wireless network. The office building they are in has quite a few different businesses nearby. To resolve the issue, the network engineer switched one of the settings to resolve any conflicts with the other business's wireless networks. What best describes the cause of the issue?
Channel overlap. Now, I was uncertain if it was channel overlap, but problem solving. You know, the issue have been speed, sure, but it didn't specify. It didn't say it. Okay. Dude, man, I just keep dropping. It's crazy. I do not know what's going on. I'm about to. Man, dude, it's just constant. Like that time it took down YouTube and Twitch. Do a little investigation. Does Twitch say that I have? Ooh, not Twitter. Does Twitch say that my stuff is like unsustainable? Used to say my stuff was unsustainable. Now I understand why it was saying that. Whatever, I suppose. Okay. Here we go.
A system administrator is investigating an issue with two geographically distant offices. Users at these locations report that accessing the shared drive at the corporate office is taking too long, even though all three locations have gigabit speed internet. What indicator should the system administrator investigate first to help resolve the issue?
So when I first saw this, I was uncertain if it was jitter or latency, although I was leaning toward latency, and that was only because I didn't fully understand jitter. I fully understand jitter now, so that means that the answer is latency. Let's just kind of read it, what latency is.
Latency refers to the time it takes for a packet to leave a computer, traverse the network, complete its request, and return to the original device, measured as round trip time.
Okay, so that makes sense. Processor, that's like in the computer, that's the CPU. Memory, that is RAM, that is also in a computer. And jittery, that is not stable. So they didn't say anything about computer hardware. They said that it was slow, that they were having a hard time. Okay, we're good. All right. There's only 3 questions that we haven't seen yet.
A system administrator has improved the bandwidth for the office, which has resulted in improving the quality of phone calls. What did the system administrator improve?
There it is, quality of phone calls. And we're not talking about duplex. We're not talking about duplex is how they're talking to each other. If one person can talk and then they have to wait, like the walkie-talkie. Security level, we didn't say anything about security. And then logging levels, we just learned that right here. These are tools to diagnose system logs. So it has to be jitter. Passphrase, okay? It has to be channel utilization. Boom. Uh-oh. Why is this? Oh, it did. I just didn't realize it. I thought it froze.
A network engineer realizes the wireless access points are too close together in the wireless network, causing interference for employees connecting to the network. The network engineer moves the wireless access points slightly farther apart, which seems to have resolved the issue. What best describes the issue the network engineer resolved?
He resolved channel overlap. This. He resolved this. They were too close together, and the channels were overlapping from the 2 access points. It's important to remember that access points are literally as it sounds. They are just allowing you to access the point of the internet. Okay? And if you have 2 of them too close together, then the frequencies get all jumbled up. Okay? Service identifier, no, this is like guest Wi-Fi, faculty Wi-Fi. Speed, didn't say anything about speed, just talked about connectivity. Okay, and then security type, again, nothing was talked about security. Oh, my waifu stopped playing. There we go.
Data travels across the network for a period of time and encounters many types of interference and errors on the first 2 network layers. What is the data received at the destination and measured at the network or transport layers known as?
Okay, throughput. Throughput, and we know it's throughput, not power. Power over Ethernet, it has nothing to do with data traveling. Okay, speed has something to do with data traveling, but not over a period of time. Okay, and not on the transport layer either. Attenuation is the degradation, the lack or the loss of signal. Throughput is the time it's going to take you to go from point A to point B, excluding stops. So me going from Galveston to Dallas, and how long it's going to take me to go with if I go the correct speed, and excluding my bathroom stops in restaurants and stuff like that in eating.
Employees report that when they move to certain areas of the office, their internet connection drops. The network engineer decides to complete a site survey and identifies what the issue might be. What is the most likely issue causing
Okay, just so you know, site survey is another vocabulary word. Site survey is when they literally go to the site, like the location, and they survey, meaning they look around and see what the issue is. If you know what a surveyor is, a surveyor goes to the plot of land and plots it out and figures out where the flat parts are, the low parts are, gets all of the dimensions of all of the different stuff, so that way the builders can come in and build. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to the site, they're surveying, looking around to see if they can identify the issue and what the issue might be. Okay, let's continue. What is the most likely issue causing the internet connection to drop for employees? So the issue is that employees reported that they moved to certain areas of the office. The internet connection drops. Okay, the internet engineer, okay, they go to it. So frequency mismatch, insufficient wireless coverage. So this is a really good example of different terms meaning the same exact thing. This answer could also be distance. They could be too far away. Okay, but they went a different way. They're saying the same thing but differently. It's not just that the people are the wrong distance from it, it's that the coverage of the wireless interfaces, like the access points, is not good. They need more access points. They need more Wi-Fi. It's not just that the distance is away. It's that the issue is not the person. The issue is the access point. So similar but different, but that's why it is insufficient wireless coverage. Man, can you imagine if that wasn't the answer? I'd look like a real clown. Okay.
A system administrator is researching a connectivity issue. The administrator sees the physical link listed as up, but the line protocol listed as down. What is the most likely issue that the system administrator should investigate?
Okay, so this is kind of what happened to me earlier with my stream that was going down. My port wasn't working. So that's not an answer choice, but it's definitely not an encapsulation issue. If it was an encapsulation issue, it would be working, but it wouldn't be working, right? I would have a green light, but I didn't have a green light. So it's not jitter. That has to deal with like inconsistency, like not stable. It's not bandwidth. It didn't say anything about the size of things. We're also talking about a physical layer, okay? We're also talking about how the physical is up. The physical link status is up, meaning that we got a green light, but the protocol is down. It's going to be encapsulation, okay? So link status is good. We say it's up.
A network engineer is trying to get approval to replace aging networking equipment. The justification for the purchase is that the office is losing network connectivity due to devices becoming overloaded and overheating. What is the engineer using as a primary justification for replacing the equipment?
Okay, this is a question we haven't had yet. So there are certain protocols that come when you're trying to change devices. It's like called a scope. You got to try to figure out like what's going to be the impact of everything. Like if I change this server, what is that going to change? How is that going to affect day to day? When should we do it? Things like that. Trying to come up with a plan. Now, there's different reasons behind certain things. Like if you just want a new computer because you want a new computer, no, admin's not going to do that. But like if I need a new computer because I teach graphic design because it's not able to handle Blender, then that's going to be an issue. But if I need a new computer because it can't handle day-to-day tasks because it's overheating, that's also a different type of issue. So what is the engineer using to imply justification? So he's trying to justify why they should replace this stuff. Downtime and uptime? Maybe. Because he talked about how the office is losing network connectivity due to devices becoming overloaded and overheated. So that's meaning that they're not able to do things, right? Not a very strong answer, but it makes sense. Change management. Didn't really say anything about networking management or anything. So the network engineer is it's just about him trying to get approved for equipment. When you're trying to get approved for something in terms of money, you have to justify it. Businesses, other than the government, businesses have to justify what they're going to spend money on because their money is not limitless. It's finite. Okay. The government can just print money. They can spend money on literally anything they want to spend money on. Okay. But a business is different. So in order to get approval, you have to have a justification for the purchase. Okay. So the justification for the purchase that is that the office is losing network connectivity due to becoming overheated. So disaster recovery, site survey. So definitely not change management. I can see disaster recovery because he's saying that these devices are overheating, they're getting overloaded, implying that they're stopping. They're not working anymore. I don't think it's disaster recovery. I think disaster recovery more implies like the server had a meltdown, like it straight up fried. Okay, what are you going to do in terms of redundancy to stop that from happening? Site survey makes sense, but it doesn't. Here's why it's not site survey. Because site survey is what he did. He went to the location and realized that this was the solution. He already has a solution. He's trying to get it approved. And what he's trying to get approved is he's trying to say it's going to improve the downtime and uptime of devices. Now, if this is wrong, I'm going to look like a real clown. Ooh, no clown makeup from me today. All right, here we go.
Employees are complaining that when browsing the company's web-based content relationship management system, the access is slow and often fails. The company has 500 employees that use this system, and the contracted internet speed is 10 Mbps download and 1 Mbps upload. What should the system administrator increase in order to improve access to the cloud system?
Okay, this one should be easy. You should know what it is. If you feel like it, put it in the chat what you think the answer is. It's going to be memory, it's going to be bandwidth, speed/duplex settings, or packet count. Okay, it should be very simple. Like this one should just like glare at you of which one it actually is. So the employees that are complaining about browsing the company's web-based blah blah blah. Okay, the access is slow and often fails. All right, well, that makes me think that maybe it's memory, maybe it's packet count, but then it goes on to say that there are 500 employees that use this system. That's a lot of employees. Okay. So, and then on top of it, it tells us that they're only moving at 10 megabytes per second on download and 1 megabit per second upload. This is total trash. This is absolutely god awful. This is like DSL level stuff. Like this is the level of internet that I had when I was trying to play Gears of War 2 on my Xbox 360, and I was dying every single time because cable internet had already come out and I was still living. Hey, how'd you do, Black Mage? Did you pass? Did you do well? You know my dad says, winter don't come home. Okay? The answer with this is bandwidth. Boom. Again, bandwidth, think of like a tunnel, or think like a one highway versus 1,000-lane highway.
After replacing a wireless network adapter, employees in the corporate office have stopped complaining about issues with transferring large files to a shared drive. What feature of the new wireless access point most likely improved the user's experience?
Speed. Now you could argue that it could also be bandwidth, but bandwidth has nothing to do with an adapter. Adapter has everything to do with speed. Also, bandwidth is not an answer choice. Don't know yet. Well, I hope that you do well. Hope that it goes well. I'm guessing you're taking a summer session or something. I would imagine that that's coming you either just started or you're coming to the end of one. All right, let's see what this one's going on.
A system administrator is investigating an issue with 2 geographically distant offices. Users at these locations report that accessing the shared drive at the corporate office is taking too long, even though all 3 locations have gigabit speed internet. What indicator should the system administrator... An IT engineer notices that wireless network performance is at an all-time low. After reviewing the wireless console settings, the engineer makes changes to eliminate device saturation. Which problem did the engineer address?
Interesting.
Jitter, overcapacity, interference, channel overlap.
Econ and government ends tomorrow. Finals are today and tomorrow. Good luck. Hey, 98.82 on econ. Nice. That's hard. That is a very, very tough class. It's very, very important, so that way you understand like how the economy and like how all these things work. But it is Definitely difficult. There's a reason why a lot of people don't do stock market. There's a reason why a lot of people complain about certain things. It's mainly because they don't understand. And they don't understand not because they're stupid, although there are a lot of stupid people out there. They don't understand because it's hard. It's just complicated. So 98.82, like in my book, that's basically 99. Like, pretty good. All right, let's look at this question here. So an IT notices that the wireless network performance is in an all-time low. Okay, so that's telling us that things are just performing really, really bad. After receiving wireless console settings, the engineer makes changes in eliminating device saturation. Saturation is the key word here, overcapacity. Woo! What is the most likely cause of a network experiencing continual bottlenecking? I got this wrong last time. It is a device-related issue, because seasonal is occasional. The word occasional means not always. Scheduled means that it's always happening, but it's at night when no one's really working. Okay, and it's safe to assume that because most businesses don't operate at night. Okay. I know I talked a lot about don't assume and add things into the question, but it's easy to safe to assume that because it's not normal for people to work at night. That's considered like a different thing. Usually get paid a little bit extra too. Okay, here we go.
A wireless engineer implements a new DAB Wi-Fi network. The engineer carefully planned the deployment of access points, APs, to maintain a configuration spacing of 25 MZ. Which of the following is associated with the configured value? Select 2.
I don't remember this one. So a wireless engineer implemented a new Wi-Fi network. The engineer carefully planned... Oh, I do remember this one. He carefully planned the deployment of the access point to maintain the configuration. Which of the following associates... So what did he factor in his thing? It'll probably be rounded up anyways. Nice. Oh, not drop. I don't know why I said drop. It'll props get rounded up anyway. That's good. That's exciting. That's exciting. Now, is that what you made on the test, or is that the grade that you have in the overall class? Either one is impressive, but if you have that as the overall grade in the class, that's even more impressive. Okay, back to the question. What are the things that he factored in, basically, in order to make sure that he maintained this configuration? He is going to factor in channel overlap to make sure that it's there, and dang it, dude. It's not frequency mismatch. That has nothing to do with it. Frequency mismatch is devices. That's on the test. Also, I have an 89. The class is also at 98. Hey, you know what? Some people are winners and some people are losers. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have any trophies, but it sounds like you got one. You know, take the dub. So it's either the channel overlap, but two things haven't been put in yet. Ooh, well, good luck. It's either interface or absorption. I'm gonna say absorption because, and here's why. Because the wireless engineer implemented new access points, means he had to put them in different places. He needs to factor in how the walls and other things in the room are going to absorb the Wi-Fi and keep it in like bottleneck it basically. So like for instance, my Eeros in my closet, worst place for it to be. Worst place. Okay. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna go for it. Dang. Interference. That's why Harvard emails me. Hey, you know what? I went to Harvard once, and I just walked around campus. It was nice. You know, it was great. Okay, let's see. Why is it in? I get it now. What I described a second ago was that he should be factoring in absorption because it's an interference. and I ignored the fact that it said the word interference. Interference can be caused by a number of factors, including neighboring equipment using the same thing, radio waves. Absorption refers to a degree at which a wall can reduce signal strength, which is a form of interference. Not the type of interference they're talking about, but it's... Okay, I understand. So it's interference and channel overlap. Okay. There we go. Oh, no, it's going to ask me the same exact question again because I got it wrong. So frequent interference and channel overlap. How'd we do? We did pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I feel good about this one. 96%. Let's do it. Let's just dive into it and let's finish it out. I'm feeling pretty good. We are I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, we are. We are now moving on to section 5.5, the final section. All right, let's do it.
Which of the software tools allows you to obtain a domain name to IP address mapping?
Thank you again for anybody who's watching. I really appreciate it. We got a lot of people who are watching on a lot of different platforms and things like that. Thank you so much. Drop a like, give a comment, jump in the chat, subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll learn. Okay, which of the following software tools allows you to obtain a domain name to IP address mapping? Ooh. Path ping. Here's why. NSLOOKUP is a command. Traceroute is a command. Netstat is a command. Path ping, I don't think is a command. Unless software tool means command, in which case they're all commands. They're all commands. Software tools means command. Let's try it again.
What is a command line utility used for checking the reachability of a remote network host called?
Buddy, I do not remember these commands at all. Oh my gosh. Okay, a command line utility used for checking reachability of a remote network host called. See, now, I think it's ping, but it could also be traceroute. It's one of the two. Because why I'm uncertain is because of the word reachability. Ping tells me if I can communicate with something, and then I can reach it. But I don't know if that's what it means in this context. Checking for reachability, maybe so. I don't know. Might need to be adding to my flashcards that I gotta make.
An IT specialist deploys a double Wi-Fi analyzer application on a tablet to assess the performance of a newly implemented wireless network in a large conference room. Which of the following does the Wi-Fi analyzer deliver that is crucial for determining the effectiveness of the network layout?
Look what ChatGPT said. I didn't even read it. I was just trying to set it up. How to use tools like ping, traceroute, slookup, ipconfig, wireshark, etc. So commands are considered tools. So all of those things were tools. Put the clown nose on now. All right. Okay, what is this again? Can we read this again?
An IT specialist deploys a double Wi-Fi analyzer application on a tablet to assess the performance of a newly implemented wireless network in a large conference room. Which of the following does the Wi-Fi analyzer deliver that is crucial for determining the effectiveness of the network layout?
I think it's channel bandwidth. No, signal strength. Yes. I don't know if there is a way. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna go.
An employee's desktop is not communicating on the network. The network technician verifies that the network interface card is functioning correctly and wants to check the switch port to make sure it is also functioning. The switch is in another room, and no network diagram shows which switch port the technician should check. What tool can the technician use to find the other end of the cable plugged into the switch?
A cable tester. If I remember correctly, what a cable tester... No, a network tone generator. What a network tone generator does is that you plug it in and it sends a tone through the wire that I don't know if it's like it's a tone that you actually audibly hear, but you're able to tell where it's coming from. So that way you can tell what's going on. That way, like if people don't do their job right and you don't know what the topology is. I remember this from A+ and my CCNA, which I need to take that test too. I might as well. All right, I took the damn class. Passed it.
Which of the following commands displays the general NetFlow data on the command line?
I have no idea. I mean, my first instinct is show MLS NetFlow IP, but I don't know if that's it or not. I mean, I'll take a shot in the dark. No.
An organization needs to monitor the network with a packet sniffer. The network is using gigabit Ethernet over copper wire, so the frames will also need signal regeneration. What device can the organization use to accomplish both the network monitoring and signal regeneration?
I don't know. My contacts clues say Fusion Splicer, but I don't think that's right. Yeah, no.
A workstation's network board is currently configured as follows. Network speed equal to auto duplexing equal to auto. The workstation is experiencing poor network performance, and you suspect that the network board is incorrectly detecting the network speed and duplex settings. Upon investigation, you find that it's running at 10 Mbps half duplex. You know that your network switch is capable of much faster throughput. To fix this issue, you decide to manually configure these settings on the workstation. Before you do so, you need to verify the switch port configuration for the connected workstation. Given that it's a Cisco switch, which commands can you use on the switch to show a list of all switch ports and their current settings? Select 2.
Show IP. Okay. Show interface. Because you have to get to it first. Run IP config. I know that it's, well, I know for a fact that it's run IP config, and then it will just fix the interface. I might be overthinking this. No, I'm not. So when it comes to when you're in the control panel for a Cisco, the what is it, the CLR or whatever, the command line, you have to get into the interface first. So you have to type in show interface. Boom, you're now in that directory. Well, it's not directory, but you're now there. Okay. So then now you put show running config interface, and a lot of times it'll auto just do it because show running config, there's not a lot of things that come, there's not a lot of commands that are show running config blank. I think that's only running show config, and then it'll just automatically do that because it knows that there's nothing else beyond that, if that makes sense. I should probably do some of those packet tracers on stream too. That sounds like it'd be fun.
To determine why the network is running slowly, an administrator wants detailed properties for the cable run, including how much attenuation, crosstalk, noise, and resistance are on it. What tool should the administrator use to gather all of this information?
Spectrum analyzer. I'm like 90% sure, but I do not know what an OTDR is. Because I remember talking about spectrum analyzer, but now I'm uncertain. Let's find out. Yeah, I don't know what an OTDR is. I guess we'll find out in a second. Okay, here we go. These are all those commands I do not remember at all. Okay.
Which of the software tools allows you to obtain a domain name to IP address mapping?
All right, we're going to do this in Chatbot GPT because I know it's going to give me really good like feedback. While it's generating,
NSLOOKUP is a network administration command line tool for querying the domain name system DNS to map a domain name and IP address or other DNS records. The traceroute command is used to show several details about the path that a packet takes from the computer or device to whatever destination is specified. PathPing combines the functionality of ping with that of traceroute. It is used to locate spots that have network latency and network loss. The netstat command generates displays that show network status and protocol statistics. It can display the status of TCP and UDP endpoints.
Okay, I'm adding this to I have a document, like a working document, where I'm gonna make them on flashcards. It's getting pretty long, I'm not gonna lie. It's probably about 7 pages. I haven't numbered it or cleaned it up or anything like that, but I definitely want these in here. This is what it looks like, by the way. These are my flashcards. I'm gonna turn them into flashcards. So I got quite a bit going on here. Okay, let's see what Chatbot GPT says.
Great question from section 5.5. Let's break it down using your 5-part method. Restate the question. Which software tool can be used to find out the IP address associated with a domain name, that is, resolve a domain name like google.com into an IP like 142.250.190.78? Simplified answer. NSLOOKUP is the tool used to map a domain name to its IP address. Analogy. Think of NSLOOKUP like looking up someone's phone number in a digital phone book. You give it the name domain, and it gives you the number IP address. In-depth explanation. NSLOOKUP stands for Name Server Lookup. It sends a DNS query to a DNS server to resolve the domain name to its IP address, forward lookup. You can also use it in reverse mode to find the domain from an IP address, reverse lookup. It's useful for checking if DNS is working properly or troubleshooting name resolution issues. The other tools do different things. Tracer traces the route packets take to a destination IP. Netstat shows network connections, listening ports, and routing tables. PathPing combines ping and tracer to give packet loss info per hop. Real-world example or scenario. You're trying to troubleshoot why a user can't access intranet.company.local. First step, use NSLOOKUP intranet.company.local in command prompt. If there's no IP returned, it means DNS isn't resolving it. Now you know where to start. Would you like a diagram showing how NSLOOKUP interacts with DNS? Or are you ready for the next question?
I'm okay, thank you. Okay, this is gonna be hard for me to memorize because I feel like these are like, I'm gonna have to like actually use these commands in real life scenarios where I have to do it. Otherwise, just knowing it's gonna be arbitrary and I'm not gonna be able to learn. I got so much cat hair all over my stuff. So I'm just gonna use anchor points in order to remember this stuff. So NSLOOKUP, because it's the DNS records. That's how I'm going to remember that. And then I'll gain a stronger knowledge of it after I've done it a whole lot.
Which of the following commands displays the general NetFlow data on the command line?
Show IP cache flow.
The Show IP Cache Flow command displays the NetFlow accounting statistics. This would show a visualization of general NetFlow data. To display the status and the statistics for NetFlow accounting data export, including the main cache and all other enabled caches, use the Show IP Flow Export command in user exec or privileged exec mode. This shows more advanced accounting statistics than the Show IP Cache Flow command. iPerf is a network performance utility that can generate TCP and UDP traffic to test bandwidth, latency, and packet loss. The show MLS NetFlow IP command displays NetFlow IP entries.
I'm not gonna lie, boys, I'm not feeling good about these. These are commands that I don't use all the time or I've never used, and I feel like it's gonna get better, like in order to make it happen. Like I'm gonna have to actually just practice by using these commands and seeing what I get. I gotta connect it to an action. I can't just memorize. Okay, show up IP cache flow. Show IP cache flow. And that's gonna show us the net flow. So what does this show us the MLS net flow show, dude? This, the MLS net flow IP command displays net flow IP entries. And we wanted net flow data, not net flow IP. Okay. See what ChatGPT has to say about this. Should have already done it, but whatever. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Alright. Sorry about that. I'm back. I guess I could have let it generate while I was gone. You know what, man? Let's just read this again.
The show IP cache flow command displays the NetFlow accounting statistics. This would show a visualization of general NetFlow data. To display the status and the statistics for NetFlow accounting data export, including the main cache and all other enabled caches, use the show IP flow export command in user exec or privileged exec mode. This shows more advanced accounting statistics than the show IP cache flow command.
Okay, so that means show IP cache flow export is a Cisco thing. And I kind of remember that because Cisco is being in exec mode or privileged exec mode. Those commands evade me. I haven't done that in a hot minute. Okay, what does this have to say?
Great question from section 5.5. Let's break this one down using your 5-part format. Restate the question. Which command shows general NetFlow data on the command line of a Cisco device? Simplified answer. Show IP cache flow is the correct answer. It displays general NetFlow statistics.
Which of the following command displays general NetFlow on the command line? It does not say Cisco device. It has changed it to Cisco device because I think these are all Cisco commands. Interesting.
Analogy. Imagine NetFlow like a smart toll booth on a highway. It tracks who comes in, where they're going, and how often. Show IP cache flow is like asking the toll booth to show you all current traffic stats. In-depth explanation. NetFlow is a Cisco feature that collects and monitors IP traffic information, used for analyzing traffic patterns and troubleshooting. The command show IP cache flow shows real-time flow statistics directly from the router switch, displays the top talker's source and destination IPS, gives insight into protocols, ports, and packet byte counts. Other options. Show IP flow export displays where NetFlow data is being exported, for example, collector IP and port, not the actual flow data. Show MLS NetFlow IP, used for multi-layer switching MLS NetFlow, a specialized switch-based feature. Show iPerf, not a valid Cisco iOS command. iPerf is a separate tool for bandwidth testing, real-world example or scenario. You're troubleshooting high bandwidth usage on a router. You type show IP cache flow and see one host talking to an outside IP on port 443 with massive byte counts. That helps you quickly narrow down which device or application is hogging bandwidth. Would you like a diagram of how NetFlow collects and exports traffic data, or are you ready for the next question?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna need a moment to process that. We're gonna keep going.
What?
What?
Answer, incorrect. An organization needs to monitor the network with a packet sniffer. The network is using gigabit Ethernet over copper wire, so the frames will also need signal regeneration. What device can the organization use to accomplish both the network monitoring and signal regeneration? Answer: incorrect. You were unsure and incorrect. Fusion splicer, wire map. The correct answer: tap, power over Ethernet. I don't know yet. What you need to know. Please select a response. Comments cannot be longer than 500 characters. A test access point tap monitors the frames on a network, and in the case of an active tap, it can also perform signal regeneration. Wire map test. A test access point tap monitors the frames on a network, and in the case of an active tap, it can also perform signal regeneration. Wire map testers can test for and identify problems with cable continuity, a short, a split pair, and incorrect pinouts like reversed pair and cross pair. A fusion splicer joins two fiber optic cables together by performing a precise alignment between the two strands and then permanently joining them together using an arc weld. Power over Ethernet PoE supplies electrical power from a switch port over ordinary data cabling to a connected power device PD. And great. Let's break this one down using your 5-part.
Test 1, test 2. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. My audio box just shut down. This has been one scuffed stream, dude. Let me tell you what. Like, I am gonna have to go back on my YouTube channel because I have all of these like live streams that are there. That are for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 seconds, 38 seconds. Like, yeah, and Opera GX isn't. There's no music. I wonder how long the music hasn't been going. Now, to be fair, this feature that I'm using is in beta. Okay. All right. Whatever, I suppose. We're back. And is Speechify going?
Part format.
Yep. Cool. Where are we at?
Restate the question. What device allows both packet sniffing on a gigabit Ethernet copper network and signal regeneration? Simplified answer. Tap test access point is the correct answer. Analogy. Think of a tap like a surveillance mirror at a store. It lets someone watch everything happening inside without interfering. And in this case, it also cleans up the mirror image when it starts to fade, signal regeneration. In-depth explanation. A tap is a hardware device placed between 2 points on the network that copies traffic for sniffing monitoring and sends it to a monitoring device like Wireshark. On gigabit Ethernet, regular hubs, which allowed sniffing in the past, don't work because of the duplex nature and signal integrity. Modern taps for gigabit and 10 gig networks often include signal regeneration circuitry, meaning they prevent signal degradation from passive tapping, ensure clean signal delivery between connected devices. Other options. Fusion splicer, used for fiber optic cable fusion, not copper Ethernet. Wire map, tests cable pinouts and wiring. No traffic analysis or signal help. Power over Ethernet PoE, powers devices like cameras or access points over Ethernet, unrelated to packet sniffing or regeneration. Real-world example or scenario. An enterprise wants to monitor traffic to and from its main router without disrupting service. The engineer installs a gigabit-capable tap between the router and the switch. It not only mirrors the traffic to a monitoring device, but also maintains strong signal quality, ensuring zero downtime or data loss. Would you like a diagram showing how a tap...
No, I don't want a diagram. Those things take forever to generate. I do, however, want to see what this looks like. Oh, I've seen these before. And that's a PoE. Interesting. Okay. So the tap is an actual device that's going to be that's going to sniff out packets. Okay. And it's going to regenerate its signal strength. Interesting. Okay. Fusion splitter is a fiber optic cable fusion where you basically merge two different fiber cables. Okay. Wire map is a cable tester that points out wiring. Basically, like if something's not working, it's going to, I think it's going to analyze it to see where the wrong cable is at. PoE is power over Ethernet, which is like for cameras and access points and things like that. That makes total sense, but it has nothing to do with packet sniffing. All right, I feel like I understand a little bit. Let's think of a tap like a surveillance mirror at a store. It lets someone watch everything happening inside without interfering. Interesting. Okay. And that's why it's called a tap. Like I put a tap on your phone. Oh my God, is that where that phrase comes from? Does it come from like oh, I got a wiretap because it's, oh my God, maybe, I don't know if that's why why the tap is called a tap or this is called a tap, but like that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's move on to the next one. See, I don't know what spectrum analyzer is. I thought I did, but apparently I don't.
To determine why the network is running slowly, an administrator wants detailed properties for the cable run, including how much attenuation, crosstalk, noise, and resistance are on it. What tool should the administrator use to gather all of this information?
I don't want to say that we are in uncharted territory, boys, but we're in territory that I have not charted in a very long time, or I have not traversed.
The administrator should use a cable tester that reports detailed information on the cable's physical and electrical properties, including crosstalk, attenuation, noise, and resistance. A multimeter's purpose is to test electrical circuits, but it can test for the continuity of any copper wire if a cable tester is not available. An optical time domain reflectometer, OTDR, locates breaks in fiber by sending light pulses down the cable and timing how long it takes for any reflections to bounce back from the break. An administrator would use a spectrum analyzer with fiber optic cabling, usually with wavelength division multiplexing WDM, to ensure that each channel has sufficient power.
Okay. Okay. Learning a lot about stuff. I didn't know the OTDR that's what it did. So that has to do with fiber too. It sends pulses of light to see if there's anything wrong with the fiber connection. Excuse me. That makes a lot of sense because fiber is just glass. All right, what do you got for me, ChatGPT?
Let's walk through this question using your preferred 5-part breakdown.
Give me an analogy.
Analogy. Think of a cable tester like a doctor using diagnostic tools to check your nerves. It looks at the health of the entire cable run, not just whether the wire is connected. In-depth explanation. Here's what each option is and why cable tester is the right fit. Cable tester correct. Can check. Attenuation signal weakening. Crosstalk signal bleeding between wires. Noise and interference. Wire map. Distance. Resistance.
Wow, so a cable tester does everything. It goes through absolutely everything. And that makes sense because attenuation is the signal weakening through the wire. Crosstalk is the signal bleeding between wires from like electrical interference and things like that. That's happening on the wire. Noise and other interference that's happening on the wire. The wire map, distance and resistance, or if it's not the right one at all, if it's not working because it's a crossover or straight through, again, it's on the wire. So a cable tester literally tests all of those things all at once. Wow. It's right there. It's an all-in-one tool when troubleshooting structural cabling performance.
Advanced models, sometimes called certification testers, provide detailed analysis for copper and fiber runs. It's the all-in-one tool when troubleshooting structured cabling performance. OTDR, optical time domain reflectometer, used for fiber optic cables only. Great for checking breaks, reflectance, and loss in fiber, not for copper cables. Multimeter, measures voltage, current, resistance only. Not suitable for network-grade diagnostics like cross...
Okay, that makes sense because I have a multimeter that I use to test the voltage of like outlets and like things like that to see if they're good or not. Okay.
Talk or attenuation in data cabling. Spectrum analyzer detects RF interference and wireless signal noise. Used in wireless network troubleshooting, not cable diagnostics. Real-world example or scenario. Spectrum analyzer detects RF interference and wireless signal noise. Used in wireless network troubleshooting, not cable.
Oh. So RF is radio frequency, so it detects radio frequencies interface and wireless signal noise. So this is kind of like a cable tester except for wireless, and it's not testing all the things, so it's not like it at all other than the fact that it's a parallel. Okay, used in wireless network working troubleshooting, not cable diagnostics. Okay.
Spectrum analyzer detects RF interference and wireless signal noise. Use real-world example or scenario. A network technician is investigating slow performance in a conference room. They plug a certification-grade cable tester into the wall jack and patch panel. The device shows high next near-end crosstalk and excessive attenuation over a long Cat5e run. The team upgrades the cabling to Cat6a and restores full performance.
Hold on, give me one sec. Hold on. One second. I gotta text my friend back. Of course it's not working. Okay, I'll try it again in a second. Okay. So OTDR is fiber. Multimeter is checking like the current resistance. That's just like a normal multimeter. Spectrum analyzer is kind of like a tester analyzer, but it deals with only wireless signals. Okay, let's look at this real world scenario again.
Real world example or scenario. A network technician is investigating slow performance in a conference room. They plug a certification grade cable tester into the wall jack and patch panel. The device shows high next near-end crosstalk and excessive attenuation over a long Cat 5e run. The team upgrades the cabling to Cat 6a and restores full performance.
Here's what I don't understand about these Cat cables, like Cat 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, they've had Cat 5, 6, and 7, and 8 for the last 30 years, basically. Like, for a long time. Maybe 30 years is a little extreme, but they've had these Cat cables for a very, very long time. And what I don't understand, like, is they haven't changed. It's been these graded all the way. And the difference between like a Cat 5 and a Cat 6 and a Cat 7 is not necessarily the amount of data it can transfer, although that is a factor, but it's really about the data that can transfer, but it's also about how it's stringed along to be protected through interference. A lot of times these cables are run in the same what's called palladium space with the air condition with electricity wires. The electricity wires cause crosstalk. They cause all these things. So I never understood why the standard was a Cat 5 cable, which is unshielded and it's not protected. And the argument to it was that, well, it doesn't need to be, it's running such small volume of stuff. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, have you not been on the internet? Do you not know that the internet's growing? It's like, tell me 1 year where the internet did not grow, where the internet actually regressed in usage and data traffic. It doesn't exist. It's never existed. It's always growing. It's only going to get bigger. Games are only going to become bigger. Video's only going to get bigger. Quality's only going to get higher. Like, it's never going to regress. Like, that's just not a thing. It's never going to happen. So all these like companies and all these schools and things, like, even when I first got my very first apartment, I got Cat 4 cables. And sometimes, like, when it was PlayStation 2, it was a Cat 3 cable. And I remember, like, then I was like, oh, blah, blah. But, like, looking back on it, I don't understand why why is that the standard? Why are they just slowly moving the standard up and having all these problems? Like, I know at my last school, we had tons of problems with crosstalk and interference. And it's because it was Cat 5 cable that was run throughout the entire building. And when I found that out, I was like, that's so stupid. Why would you run a Cat 5 cable throughout an entire building when there's Cat 5A that's at least shielded or has the ability to be shielded? You can have Cat 5A shielded or unshielded. So I don't know. That's why, like, in my house, I run Cat 7 and 8. The big difference between there is the amount of data it can transfer versus its length. Cat 7 can transfer more data per length, and so it can be longer throughout the house. Cat 8 can travel very small distances but in huge bursts. So, like, I don't know. That's my soapbox. That's my soapbox for that. Like, I don't understand that. I've never understood that. Like, I don't know. That's like saying I'm not going to start a college fund for my kid because they're never going to grow up. Yes, they're going to grow up. So why not have that? I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. Cable tester, moving on. Did I rant for too long? No, I didn't. Okay, good. All right. Let's see here if this is working now. My text message wasn't sending. Nope. There we go. And that is going to be No, I cannot go teach lessons today. Oh. Yeah, because I'm dumb. How many saves you? 25. Ooh. Dope. Okay. All right, here we go. What's going on with this one?
What is a command line utility used for checking the reachability of a remote network host called?
I was right, ping. Now it's the other commands that I don't really know. Let's see what it tells us.
Ping is the primary TCP/IP command used to troubleshoot connectivity, reachability, and name resolution. This command can be used to test both the computer name and the IP address of the computer. The traceroute command is used to show several details about the path that a packet takes from the computer or device to whatever destination is specified. DIG can identify IP address records, record the query route to obtain answers from an authoritative name server, and diagnose other DNS problems. The netstat command generates displays that show network status and protocol statistics. It can display the status of TCP and UDP endpoints.
Oh, okay. So netstat is about TCP and UDP. DIG identifies IP address records. Record the query routes to obtain the answer. Interesting. I wonder if that means that, like, if I use the command dig, if it'll show me all of the websites that I've visited, because it records the IP address and how it was resolved with DNS. Well, it doesn't say that it shows how it was resolved with DNS. It just diagnoses DNS problems. I'm just assuming that. I'm making that connection. Okay, let's move on.
An IT specialist deploys a Wi-Fi analyzer application on a tablet to assess the performance of a newly implemented wireless network in a large conference room. Which of the following does the Wi-Fi analyzer deliver that is crucial for determining the effectiveness of the network layout?
Signal strength, but I knew that. What I didn't understand, like, I don't know what an AP list is or these other things are. So let's see what this is.
Depending on the position of the tablet, the Wi-Fi analyzer can display how strong the signal is from the location of the access point, AP. This can be used to troubleshoot signal loss in certain areas. An AP list will show all available wireless access points that the smartphone is able to hear. The service set identifier SSID of the AP will be listed. A channel graph will show the channel the access point is using, along with channels of other APS. This graph can help mitigate channel overlap. Channel bandwidth is not displayed on a Wi-Fi analyzer app. An online bandwidth speed tester can be used to determine the speed of the wireless network.
Okay, so the channel graph, it's graphing out the channels that we learned about last time, just a while ago. And the channel bandwidth is basically like an online speed tester, okay? What is the AP list? AP list will show all available wireless access points that the smartphone is able to hear. Interesting. The service set identifier, the SSID of the IP, will be listed. So basically, like if I was at a school and I did an AP list, it would show me all of the access points, which is why it's an access point list, and then it would show me what the SSID is that all of those APs are under. Okay, that makes sense. Let's do the analogy in the real world.
Analogy. Think of signal strength like the volume of a speaker across a concert hall. If you're too far from the speaker AP, the music gets faint. Measuring signal strength tells you if the sound or Wi-Fi reaches every corner clearly.
Wi-Fi. We're also going to do in-depth too.
In-depth explanation. A Wi-Fi analyzer offers many data points, but here's why signal strength is crucial when checking the network layout. It tells you how strong the wireless signal is at different points in the room. Weak signals suggest APs are too far or blocked by walls objects. Good layout equal to consistently strong signal across the entire area. Let's break down each option. Signal strength correct. Primary metric for coverage. Ensures users have reliable connectivity. Visualized using heat maps or dBm readings, for example, -30 dBm equal to strong, -90 dBm equal to unusable. Channel graph. Shows which channels are crowded. Helps avoid interference, but doesn't show layout effectiveness. Channel bandwidth. Refers to the size of the channel used, for example, 20 images, 40 images. Impacts throughput, not coverage layout. AP list. Lists nearby access points, SSIDs. Useful for identifying interference in available networks, but not coverage quality. Real-world scenario. An IT specialist walks around a conference room with a tablet running a Wi-Fi analyzer. In the back corners, the signal drops to -80 dBm, causing slow speeds. This tells them an additional access point is needed to cover the dead zone.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna need a moment to process this, but it makes sense.
An employee's desktop is not communicating on the network. The network technician verifies that the network interface card is functioning correctly and wants to check the switch port to make sure it is also functioning. The switch is in another room, and no network diagram shows which switch port the technician should check. What tool can the technician use to find the other end of the cable plugged into the switch?
So I was correct. It's a network tone generator. Now, I want to make sure that it does exactly what I said it does. Just to make sure that I fully understand it. But I'm pretty sure it legitimately sends a frequency, and I think it sends a hum that you can physically hear. I could be wrong about that. So let's see what it is.
A network tone generator and probe trace a cable from one end to the other by applying a signal on the cable, tracing it to follow the cable over ceilings and through ducts. A multimeter's purpose is to test electrical circuits, but it can test for the continuity of any copper wire if a cable tester is not available. Wire map testers can test for and identify problems with cable continuity, a short, a split pair, and incorrect pinouts like reversed pair and crossed pair. A cable tester reports detailed information on the physical and electrical properties of the cable, such as cable conditions, crosstalk, attenuation, noise, resistance, and other characteristics of a cable run.
Okay, so we learned this a second ago. Cable tester does basically everything. The wire map tester tests the mapping of the actual wire to see if it's correct or not. It can catch if you've used a straight through instead of a crossover. Okay, multimeter just tests electricity. So let's get this thing.
Let's go through it using your preferred 5-part method. Restate the question. What tool helps a technician identify where a cable defined which wire in a bundle turns on a light in the next room? You use a tone generator to send a sound down the wire and a probe to listen for it on the other end, like playing Marco Polo through the walls. In-depth explanation. A network tone generator, often called a toner and probe kit, is designed for cable tracing, especially helpful when cables aren't labeled or documented. The tone generator sends an audible signal through the cable. The probe, also known as wand, detects that signal on the other end. When the probe touches the matching cable on the switch end, it emits a sound, confirming the cable's path. Let's evaluate the other options. Cable tester. Checks for wiring faults. Opens, shorts, etc. Does not trace or identify which port the cable is connected to. Wire map tester. Verifies correct pinout of Ethernet cabling. Not useful for physical tracing to a switch port. Multimeter. Measures voltage, resistance, and continuity. Can't trace Ethernet cables or detect ports. Network tone generator.
Okay.
Specifically built to find cable endpoints in patch panels and switches. Real-world scenario. A tech is in a building where none of the Ethernet wall jacks are labeled. A user's PC is offline, and the tech needs to figure out which switch port connects to that wall jack. Using a toner probe, they plug the tone generator into the wall jack, then walk to the switch closet and scan ports with the probe until they hear the tone. Now they found the correct switch port. Would you like a visual diagram of how a tone generator and probe trace a cable? Or are you ready for the next question?
Yes, I would. Like man. Don't crash my stream. Don't. Okay, but I'm just curious about, can you actually like audibly hear it, or is it just like sending a frequency and sending a sound, and like the probe is picking it up and like can hear it, or maybe the probe makes a sound, maybe it sends it and the probe goes bing, you know, I don't know. But it's the cable tester that tests literally everything of the cable. The wire map tester that is determining whether or not you've used the correct wire, and it can determine whether it's a crossover or a straight through. Multimeter is just normal like electricity check. And then we have the network tone generator. Got it. Let's go on to the next one, and then we'll come back to this after this generator. It's just going to take a hot second. Okay, yes. I definitely want to go through this one. Yes. These are the commands, okay, for Cisco. Okay.
A workstation's network board is currently configured as follows. Network speed equal to auto duplexing equal to auto. The workstation is experiencing poor network performance, and you suspect that the network board is incorrectly detecting the network speed and duplex settings. Upon investigation, you find that it's running at 10 Mbps half duplex. You know that your network switch is capable of much faster throughput. To fix this issue, you decide to manually configure these settings on the workstation. Before you do so, you need to verify the switch port configuration for the connected workstation. Given that it's a Cisco switch, which commands can you use on the switch to show a list of all switch ports and their current settings? Select 2.
Okay, I moved my camera up so that way we can see this together. So here is what we need to know, which is right here. And these are all commands, so I'm very interested in what it's going to say.
To view the speed and duplex settings of interfaces on a Cisco switch, you can use one of the following commands. Show running config interface displays concise summary information. Show interface displays extended information. The show interface capabilities command displays information about interface capabilities, not the current switch configuration. The show interface Ethernet counters command displays interface statistics. The show interface switch port command displays VLAN information regarding switch interfaces.
Okay, so I was a little mixed up. I remember now, like when you're in a Cisco command line, you have to go to exec mode and then privilege exec mode. And then from there, you can get to show interface. Show interface shows you a crap load of information, and I mean a crap load of information. Show running config also shows a lot, but show running config interface shows you just a little bit. It's more like a narrowed search, if I remember correctly. We should do some packet tracers together at some point. I think that'd be really fun. I feel like I'm in 1998 again, and I'm trying to get onto the internet for the very first time on AOL, and I'm like watching it like load. We're gonna wait for this to load. Ooh, Alex Jones is live. Okay, let's see what's going on. So tone generator plugged into the monitor. I'm assuming that's not how a tone generator and probe trace a cable. Here's the cable, here's the probe. I'm assuming the tone generator is not supposed to be in the computer, or I'm assuming that the monitor and the computer are supposed to be connected. Okay, this makes sense. So they're together. They're grouped together. Excellent. Now let's look at this thing. Because it's important to know these commands. Boom, 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 boom. Whoa. How did I misspell question? Why is there an R in it? What? Like, God, man, I know I'm dyslexic, but like, geez. Here it is.
Great. Let's break this down. Correct answers. Show interface. Show running config interface. Explanation. Show interface. This command gives real-time details about the interface, including operational status up, down, speed and duplex, for example, 10 Mbps half duplex, error counts, input output rates. Use this to confirm the actual current state of the interface, speed, duplex mismatches, errors, etc. Show running config interface. This command displays the configuration settings applied to a specific interface, such as speed, duplex, VLAN membership, spanning tree participation. Use this to verify how the interface is configured, especially if manually set. Other choices: show interface capabilities, shows what the port can do, for example, max speed, supported duplex modes, not what it's currently doing. Show interface Ethernet counters, focuses on low-level frame and packet counters, not speed duplex or live config data. Would you like a diagram?
Okay. So let me get on another little soapbox real quick. The next big problem that AI is going to face, besides it taking over everything because like the new AI generated models are lying and committing blackmail and stuff like that. Besides that little issue, we'll just kind of kick it over to the side, is that it doesn't stop learning. It's constantly trying to improve, which you would think is good, and normally it is. However, like look at smartphones for a second, okay? So smartphones, like the iPhone changed the entire game. Before then, we just had like intelligent phones. Everyone was trying to figure out like the touch screen and stuff like that. They were awful. The iPhone came out, revolutionized literally everything, okay? So it revolutionized everything. And then there comes a point where it just keeps getting redefined. And then now it's like it is what it is. Like this is my phone. It's a Samsung, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks like an iPhone. iPhones look like Samsungs. There are features that were only on Androids that are now on iPhones. There are features that were only on iPhones and designs that were only on iPhones that are now on Androids. They figured out what it was that people liked, right? That's what it was. And now we have this. And now there's no real innovation with phones anymore. And you could argue and say that like, yeah, the camera's better, the screen's better, it's in 4K, like whatever. Sure. But there's no real innovation anymore. And again, you could argue and say that that's a bad thing or it's a good thing. It's peaked, right? Sometimes that's okay, and then you move on to the next thing. Like we peaked at building houses. All houses are built basically exactly the same, right? We peaked at creating the nail and the screw and the hammer. They don't need to be improved. I don't need an electric hammer that's connected to Wi-Fi. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain things that just like, once they hit their peak, and it's fine. Since AI is constantly trying to learn, like it tried to learn and create a better output for this, even though I've already told it the output that I want it to do. And the output I want it to do is this format that's right here that works really, really well. I don't need it to learn. I don't need it to improve. I need it to be consistent and maintain. And if you think about it, this is how a lot of jobs are. A lot of mindless jobs don't need you to think. You know, there are people out there who are really, really dumb, and that's fine because they can go out there and make big rocks into small rocks. And that's a job that needs to get done. And they're not going to come to you and say, hey, there's a better way to do this. They're just going to show up and do the job. AI is going to show up and do the job, and then it's going to slowly stop doing that job because it's going to say, hey, we could do it better this way. It's going to over-engineer an answer. And I think that's going to be the next hurdle that they're going to have to go over, where like once I had this chatbot set up, it was great. It's been going great. And I have a feeling that's starting to break and degrade because it's trying to improve when I just need it to maintain. So that's a thought. Anyway, let's move on. It cannibalizes itself, isn't it? It's a little, I want to say it's cannibalizing itself. I would say that it's searching for a better solution. Engineers do this all the time. There's tons of drums that are out there where people have like over-engineered things, and it's like, yeah, the drum stand is like this big, but now it's all of these thousands of pieces that I have to move around and connect. It's basically like a transformer in order for it to transform. And like, yeah, that's cool. You engineered to make the stand like this big and it can unfold and be this big and hold 200 pounds. But like, there was no need for that. Like, why did you do that? Like there's other things that need to be done. So it's just over engineering. And if anything, it's a very human element that it's representing.
What is a command line utility used for checking the reachability of a remote network host called
ping? Dig is like digging into like the DNS thing. Traceroute is tracing packets. Netstat. Do not remember what netstat is. No, I mean it doesn't have enough resources to learn, so it's learning off of itself. Well, it's trying to learn off of you. It's not just learning off of itself. It's learning off of me, and it's in how I'm interacting with it. It won't change unless I input something. It'll always stay the same. So since I'm always putting in the same thing, it's trying to learn off of it, but my what I'm giving it's not changing, but it's trying to learn off of it. And the last the last question I just gave it didn't fit well inside of my template that I gave it. It does, and it requires a little bit of more thought to like put it into it. However, it was like, since you've asked me a different question in a different way, therefore I must answer it in a different way, because why would you have done something different? Well, it's not actually that different. I still need you to try to give it, like I wanted you to restate the question. I wanted you to give me an analogy, which might have been difficult to give with this, but it would have had to give an analogy to all of these answer choices. So maybe it was just being lazy. That's also a very human element in it as well. So it only learns from what you put into it. So it cannibalizes on you. That's why there's a lot of people. There's actually like a whole like little subgenre on like Reddit or whatever, where people think that Chatbot GPT is God, but they think it's God because they put prompts and questions into it that lead itself to say that it is. It's kind of like how you lead a child to think a certain thing. So like when I give a drum lessons to a kid, I'm like, oh man, this is fun, right? They're like, oh yeah, this is fun. At the end, like, hey, you had fun, right? And it's like, yeah, I had fun. And then it like afterwards they're like, hey, so you had fun? It's like, yeah, I had fun. They knew that they had fun. And if they truly didn't, they would have said, no, I'm not having fun. But I had to bring it to their attention. It'd be funny if it just chose to be lazy and not respond. I have had that happen. I've had that happen a few times where I've asked it a question and it just straight up doesn't send anything. And there's actually sometimes, where is it? Sometimes you can give it feedback. Like if it opens it up in a canvas, you can give it feedback, and one of the things is that it's being lazy, that it doesn't want to give the full thing. And actually, I tend to think that Chatbot 03 works a little bit more like better. So there's a lot of different models that are here that do a lot of different things. So very, very, very interesting. Anyway, what does netstat do again? Let's see if we can Google that real quick. Netstat common is a powerful command line used to display network connections, routing tables, interfaces. Okay, so it's kind of like an all-in-one tool.
Learning. A Wi-Fi router is unable to reach all users on the office floor due to radio interference. Which of the following tools have the capability to pinpoint the origin of the interference?
Okay, last time I said spectrum analyzer, that was wrong. So we need to pinpoint the origin of the interference. It's not going to be tone generator. That's in order to find the cable. Probably not power meter. I'm going to say that it's protocol analyzer. Dang. Maybe it was Spectrum Analyzer. Let's Google that real quick. Oh, it was. It was Spectrum Analyzer. Shucks. Sorry, Dad. I'll let you down.
A cable installer is testing fiber optic cable for spectral attenuation with the goal of ensuring that each channel has enough power to support wavelength division multiplexing. What tool is the cable installer using?
Okay, this is very important. Attenuation is only for frequency. So spectral attenuation means that it's for fiber, because it's still using the term of attenuation, meaning that degradation of signal, but it's not just degradation of signal, it's degradation of the light. Okay, because we have turned information into light. Crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. So it's going to be OTDR, which is what we've already talked about, which is for fiber. Multimeter, that's for electricity, tone generators to figure out what cable's what. And then OSA, do not know. That is why I'm not going to go ahead and say that it's this, because I don't know. Well, maybe I can just Google it. Can I just Google it real fast? Okay. Obstructive sleep is a sleep in networking. A network OSA most commonly refers to an open software adapter, the hardware component found in IBM mainframes. It acts as a network controller, providing a connection between the mainframes. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna go for it, boys. Put the clown makeup on me. Put it on me right now.
Learning.
Well, I honestly do not understand why it's not that. Component found in it acts as a network controller. I legit, unless that's not what that is. I honestly do not know.
IT specialists respond to a security breach. An investigation determines that open service ports on an old server were the entry point for malicious activity. Which of the following utilities should the specialists use to determine the cause of the breach?
Not ARP. ARP is a Mac request. Dig is gonna be with I think it's gonna be netstat. Yeah. Oh, buddy.
A network manager cannot communicate with a system on the network that has an Internet Protocol IP address of 192.150.60.24. The manager uses the ping command and can reach the IP address. Which of the following commands can the network manager use for troubleshooting this issue?
Okay, so there are two different ARPs. One ARP is an ARP request is where you request the MAC address of something. The other ARP is something else, just like there's two MACs. And when I mean two MACs, I don't mean there's two MAC addresses. I mean there's two things that use the acronym MAC, and there's two things that use the acronym ARP, and it's really freaking confusing. Let's see here. So it wants to know the command. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with that. Nope. I don't know. I don't know what those other things mean. I guess we'll find out.
What is a network command line utility in MS Windows that tracks and displays the route taken by IPv4 packets on their way to another host known as?
What is the network command line utilized in Windows that tracks and displays the route taken? Oh, trace. Yes. Because it was the route. That one's easy because it's tracing the tracks, it's tracing the packets.
To determine why the network is running slowly, an administrator wants detailed properties for the cable run, including how much attenuation, crosstalk, noise, and resistance are on it. What tool should the administrator use to gather all of this information?
The cable tester.
An administrator measures the resistance between the two ends of a cable and verifies that the cable has a break. What tool allows the administrator to test the cable end resistance?
I think it's multimeter. Let me read that again.
An administrator measures the resistance between the two ends of a cable and verifies that the cable has a break. What tool allows the administrator to test the cable end resistance?
Yeah, multimeter. Not tone generator. That's to find the cable. I don't know what loopback adapter is, and it's not the tap. All right, let's learn. So it was OSA. What? Okay. So this is going to be the test to see if Chatbot GPT is going to use the same thing or not. So we'll say next question. Why that generates, let's read what CompTIA has to say.
An administrator would use an optical spectrum analyzer OSA with fiber optic cabling, usually with wavelength division multiplexing WDM, to ensure that each channel has sufficient power. An optical time domain reflectometer OTDR locates breaks in fiber.
So this says that it is an optical spectrum analyzer. Open system adapter. Buddy. See, I hate acronyms. I understand why sometimes they're important, but I hate acronyms. Okay.
By sending light pulses down the cable and timing how long it takes for any reflections to bounce back. A tone generator and probe trace a cable from one end to the other by applying a signal on the cable, tracing it to follow the cable over ceilings and through ducts. A multimeter's purpose is to test electrical circuits, but it can test for the continuity of any copper wire if a cable tester is not available.
Okay, so my question is why is it not OTDR?
An administrator would use an optical spectrum analyzer OSA with fiber optic cabling, usually with wavelength division multiplexing WDM, to ensure that each channel has sufficient power. An optical time domain reflectometer OTDR locates breaks in fiber by sending light pulses down the cable and timing how long it takes for any reflections to bounce back.
The cable is inserted. A cable installer is testing fiber optic cables for spectral attenuation. I guess I don't know what spectral attenuation is then. With the goal of ensuring that each channel has full power or has enough power. And that's what this does. This measures power. This just measures its time. Okay, let's see what Chatbot GPT has to say.
Correct answer. OSA, optical spectrum analyzer. Explanation. OSA, optical spectrum.
Yep, see, and it's not giving it to me in my 5 format. So, and to be fair, the thread is getting kind of long. We'll do this. I also want to make sure I understand the difference between OSA and OTDR. It's now also giving it to me in a strange thing where it's giving these lines where it means it's indented for some strange reason. It doesn't change the quality of the answer, but it does change the format. It's very interesting.
Let's break this question down using the 5-part method. 1. Restate the question. What tool does a cable installer use to measure spectral attenuation in fiber optic cables and confirm that each channel has enough power for wavelength division multiplexing WDM? 2. Simplified answer. OSA, optical spectrum analyzer, is the correct tool because it can measure the signal power at specific wavelengths, which is exactly what's needed for WDM. 3. Analogy. Think of WDM like sending multiple colored laser beams through a single glass tube. Each color wavelength carries different data. An OSA is like a prism combined with a microscope. It breaks the light into its components and checks if each color data channel is bright enough to make it through the system clearly. 4. In-depth explanation. WDM, wavelength division multiplexing, allows multiple signals to travel over a single fiber by assigning each one a unique light wavelength. These channels must be strong enough, not attenuated too much, or the signal will degrade. Spectral attenuation refers to signal loss at specific wavelengths, which can affect WDM performance. An OSA scans across the spectrum of light in the fiber and measures signal strength at each wavelength. Detects channel spacing, overlap, and power levels. None of the other tools can inspect multiple light frequencies like this. 5. Real-world example or scenario. You're installing a high-speed fiber line that will run multiple internet services, voice, data, TV over the same fiber using WDM. To ensure each service channel has strong enough signal strength, you hook up an OSA. It tells you whether the red, green, and blue light signals wavelengths are coming through clearly, if any are too weak or overlapping, so you can fix the issue before the customer gets degraded service. Would you like a visual diagram showing how WDM and an OSA work together in a fiber system?
No. I want to know the difference between OSA and OTDR. See, you notice like before it broke, it would give me the other choices, which I might need to add to my format. Like, explain to me why the other choices aren't right, or what maybe like what they are. Real world scenario, you need to find a fiber break 400 meters down the line, OTDR. We're using a WDM system and need to ensure all channels are tested clearly. You're troubleshooting why fiber channels are weak. You're checking a total fiber loss of okay, so this is basically doing a physical check, which is damage, and this is checking the data. Yes. Okay, I'm okay now. We can keep going.
A Wi-Fi router is unable to reach all users on the office floor due to radio interference. Which of the following tools have the capability to pinpoint the origin of the interference? Received Signal Strength Indication (RSSI) signal strength can help identify Wi-Fi signal issues. A spectrum analyzer, usually a handheld device, is used to analyze radio or electrical interferences. The exact location can be pinpointed using this device. A network tone generator applies a signal on the cable to be traced by a probe. Received Signal Strength Indication (RSSI) signal strength can help identify Wi-Fi signal issues. A spectrum analyzer, usually a handheld device, is used to analyze radio or electrical interferences. The exact location can be pinpointed using this device. A network...
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I know what the other ones are. We're good to go. This one, I don't know. We're gonna... Next question. I think these are different commands that do different things.
The returned media access control. It is possible that two systems on the network have the same Internet Protocol IP address, and the Address Resolution Protocol ARPable has the other system stored in the cache. This can be verified by using the command ARP, a 192.150.60.24, and reviewing the returned media access control MAC address. The command ARPS 192.150.60.24 will not assist the network manager. The S option allows administrators to add an entry to the ARP cache. The administrator would add the MAC behind the IP. The D option will delete the entry for the IP address. This will not assist with troubleshooting. The command ARP 192.150.60.24 will not return a result as it is not a valid command.
And that's the one I chose, boys. Oh my goodness.
Let's walk through this question using a clear breakdown. Question restated. A network manager can ping a device at 192, which means it's reachable, but cannot communicate properly otherwise. They want to troubleshoot further. What ARP address resolution protocol command should they use? Correct answer. ARP, a 192, 150.60.24. What's the simplified answer? Use ARPA to see the MAC address associated with that IP address. It helps verify whether the correct physical address is mapped. Analogy. Imagine you're calling someone in a hotel. You dial their room number IP and they pick up PingWorks. But if you're sending a physical package real data, you need their room key MAC address to unlock the door.
Okay.
ARP shows who's behind that room number. In-depth explanation. Here's what each option does. Command what it does use.
Okay, I don't need it to say all these things. It's going to be a mess. So the -A displays the MAC address for giving IP address if known. Best for checking address resolution. -S is manually set a static ARP entry. So I can just be like, hey, this is what it is. So S is manual. A is display. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Rare, risky unless you know what you're doing. Guess what? I know what I'm doing. Okay. This is not a valid thing. -D is deletes ARP. So D makes sense because it deletes the ARP. Oh, okay. I wonder if the letters is based off of like the order that it makes sense in. So A's first because a lot of times you just want to know what the display is. Like you just want it to display the thing. S is manual because it's very rare you're going to need to do that. D stands for delete because D is D. It's a little weird way to think about it. You're troubleshooting a Windows machine that can ping a printer but can't print. You run the A, okay, the ARP-A. You see the MAC address is from the wrong vendor or changes frequently. That could mean that the ARP spoofing issue, duplicated IP address, or rogue device. So that means that it could be like a wrong IP, a duplicated IP, meaning that DHCP, maybe it was unplugged for a while, the IP expired, and then it started giving it the IP again. You plug it back in, that machine still has the same IP. We have duplicated IPs. A rogue device where it implemented an IP address that is incorrect on purpose, or there's an issue with a MAC address and someone is spoofing the MAC address. Okay. All right. This makes sense in my brain. I know it feels like we've been going at it forever, but we are actually almost done.
IT security specialists respond to a security breach. An investigation determines that open service ports on an old server were the entry point for malicious activity. Which of the following utilities should the specialists use to determine the cause of the breach?
Okay. ARP and path is why I wanted to do this.
The Address Resolution Protocol, ARP command, is used to perform the task of resolving a logical internet protocol IP address to a physical hardware address. The path ping utility performs a traceroute, then pings each hop router a given number of times for a given period to determine the round-trip time RTT for the path.
Okay. So the path ping utilizes performs a traceroute. So it's similar to trace T. Yeah, okay. Then pings each hop router given. Okay. So it's about the path and it's about its hops. Dig is DNS. ARP is address resolution protocol. All right, so long as we don't get new questions, I think we're okay.
After plugging a cable into a computer, a user reports there is no network access. Which of the following tools would the technician most likely check to verify that the cable was crimped correctly?
Oh, that's what a loopback plug is. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. Dang it. I bet it was cable certifier. I was like, hey man, we've done a lot of these questions. We just need to not get new ones. And then we got a brand new one.
A network technician installs a Wi-Fi Analyzer app on a personal smartphone to analyze the recently installed wireless access point AP. Which of the following does the Wi-Fi Analyzer provide that is useful information available for a site survey?
Okay. signal strength. That is my final answer.
A cable installer is testing fiber optic cable for spectral attenuation with the goal of ensuring that each channel has enough power to support wavelength division multiplexing. What tool is the cable installer using?
OSA, because that deals with signal strength, and then the OTD deals with length and if there's physical things that are wrong with it. Okay, tone generators, like finding a Cat5 cable, like which one's connected to which, and multimeter deals with electricity.
Which of the software tools allows you to obtain a domain name to IP address mapping?
Oh, NS lookup. NS, DNS.
A user informs IT support that a company server is unreachable when using its host name. A technician fixes the issue by reconfiguring the host name in a domain name system DNS server and clearing the DNS cache on the user's Windows computer. Which of the following commands did the technician use to resolve the issue?
Oh my gosh, dude, my dyslexia kicked in. It's IP config. Final answer. Yeah, because if you do IP config, it's going to show all of that. I've had to do that multiple times when I'm doing stuff here.
An administrator is using a wire map tester to identify different types of issues with cabling. What kinds of issues can the wire map tester detect? Select all that apply.
Okay, incorrect pinout. Shit, I don't know. I'm gonna say continuity. Dang. I bet it was bad. No, why would it be able to test a bad port? I bet it's short.
A workstation's network board is currently configured as follows. Network speed equal to auto duplexing equal to auto. The workstation is experiencing poor network performance, and you suspect that the network board is incorrectly detecting the network speed and duplex settings. Upon investigation, you find that it's running at 10 Mbps half duplex. You know that your network switch is capable of much faster throughput. To fix this issue, you decide to manually configure these settings on the workstation. Before you do so, you need to verify the switch port configuration for the connected workstation. Given that it's a Cisco switch, which commands can you use on the switch to show a list of all switch ports and their current settings? Select 2.
T.
A systems administrator is unable to ping remote hosts from a Debian server. However, remote hosts can ping the server. The administrator troubleshoots the issue by examining the output chain. Which of the following tools meets the administrator's needs to troubleshoot the issue?
I wasn't paying attention.
A systems administrator is unable to ping remote hosts from a Debian server. However, remote hosts can ping the server. The administrator troubleshoots the issue by examining the output chain. Which of the following tools meets the administrator's needs to troubleshoot the issue?
The issue is that it's the wrong subnet. So IP config. Dang it. I thought it was loopback, but cable certifier.
After plugging a cable into a computer, a user reports there is no network access. Which of the following tools would the technician most likely check to verify that the cable was crimped correctly?
I think a cable certifier is also the same thing as a cable tester.
Answer: punch down tool. The correct answer. A cable certifier is used to verify that a cable meets its specifications, such as the bandwidth and frequency. For example, it can verify a Cat5e cable meets specifications and supports speeds of 1000 Mbps, and can verify a Cat6 cable supports speeds of 10 Gbps. A punch-down tool is used to assist in inserting wires into patch panels or punch-down blocks. A loopback plug is a connector used for diagnosing transmission problems on parallel and serial ports. It plugs into a port on the back of the computer. A toner probe is used to trace wires or cables by sending a signal from one end of a wire along its entire length.
Okay. So a loopback plug, that makes sense because you plug it into the serial port to make sure that the port is good. Okay. A toner probe is used to trace wires or cables by sending a signal from one end of the wire to the other end of the wire. So a toner probe, how is that different from a or is that what it is? I might be getting confused. I'm gonna stop talking. I don't want to confuse myself.
An administrator is using a wire map tester to identify different types of issues with cabling. What kinds of issues can the wire map tester detect?
Short.
Select all that apply.
Incorrect pinout. I didn't know it could correct. I didn't know. Oh, select all that apply? So I was correct. Continuity, incorrect pinout. I didn't know that it could do short.
Select all that apply. A wire map tester can detect issues with continuity or an open in the cable due to cable damage or because the installer did not properly wire the connector. A wire map tester can detect issues with a short when two conductors are touching at some point, usually because the insulating wire is damaged or a poorly wired connector. A wire map tester can detect issues with an incorrect pinout when the installer incorrectly wired the conductors into the terminals at one or both ends of the cable.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, I mean, if it can detect if it's an incorrect pinout, meaning that the pins are switched and it's the wrong cable, then it should be able to send electrical feed or some type of signal to determine if there's a short. That makes total sense. I'm not gonna lie, dude. This one's kind of hard.
A systems administrator is unable to ping remote hosts from a Debian server. However, remote hosts can ping the server. The administrator troubleshoots the issue by examining the output chain. Which of the following tools meets the administrator's needs to troubleshoot the issue?
Uh-oh.
The IP tables. Command line utility is used to edit the rules enforced by the Linux kernel firewall. It can change input, output, and forward chains that are firewall rule sets.
Linux. If you want to learn Linux, you know what happens? You go to a thread that was made 12 years ago that just says good luck. Like, and then there's another one that's like kernels are the best. I don't know what a kernel is. Like, learning Linux is hard. No way around it. It's hard because it's so different and that there's so much you can do with it. Like, Linux is to Windows what Windows is to Mac. There's no customability to Mac. Mac is for stupid people. It's for people who don't know how, like, their computer works. They just want to buy something and know that it works. They don't want a lot of bloatware. They want everything to be controlled. They want it to just do it. And by doing that, you're giving up a lot of freedom, giving up a lot of creativity. Windows is for people who, like, understand that there's more to a computer that they can do. Linux is for people who basically want to create a completely new operating system. Like, it's crazy. So anyway, so IP tables is for Linux. So what's a Debian server? Is that Linux? Is that how I'm supposed to know that? Yes, Debian is Linux. That was the keyword. Gotta be able to find these keywords when you're testing, man.
Which of the following is a command line packet capturing utility?
I have no idea. I thought I had gone through all the questions. That was the last questions. We've now been through all of them.
An organization needs to monitor the network with a packet sniffer. The network is using gigabit Ethernet over copper wire, so the frames will also need...
The tap. We got to put a tap on it. That Patriot Act. Let's go. It only gets stronger every single year. Or everything. I think it gets renewed every 2 years, every 3 years.
Answer. Show IP. Which of the following commands displays the general NetFlow data on the command line? Answer. Show IP cache flow. Show iPerf. Show MLS NetFlow IP. In a scenario, use the...
I'm pretty sure it's show IP cache flow. I thought it was NetFlow last time, but that's not right. Yes. I do not remember what iperf is. Some of these commands I'm not going to memorize unless I actually do them.
To identify different types of issues with cabling. What kinds of issues can the wire map tester detect?
Shorts.
Select all that apply.
Connectivity. I'm saying that word right, but wrong. It's been a long stream. Okay. Incorrect pinout.
A systems administrator is unable to ping remote hosts from a Debian server. However, remote hosts can ping the server. The administrator troubleshoots the issue by examining the output chain. Which of the following tools meets the administrator's needs to troubleshoot the issue?
IP tables, because Linux. If it was Windows, it would have been ipconfig. Ipconfig, this one.
A network manager cannot communicate with a system on the network that has an Internet Protocol IP address of 192.150.60.24. The network manager enters the command.
So it's going to enter the ARP-A command with the IP address. What that's going to do is it's going to display the address protocol. It's going to display the ARP cache contents of the IP. And then from there, I can either delete it, reset it, do whatever I need.
A small section of the office is complaining about poor Wi-Fi signal. Which of the following tools have the capability to pinpoint the origin of the interference?
Small section of the office is complaining about poor Wi-Fi signal. Spectrum analyzer.
Following a cybersecurity incident, IT security analysts discovered that unauthorized access was gained through unused protocols enabled on a network device. Which of the following tools should the analysts employ to identify the exploited vulnerabilities?
Path ping, because it's going to do the path and its hops. Was it netstat? Okay. Netstat.
The netstat
That was weird.
command allows for checking the state of unused protocols on a local host. Service misconfigurations can be found by using this command.
So it allows for checking the state of unused protocols on a host. Okay, on a local host. So that means on the same subnet. Service misconfigurations can be found by using this command. So that means like if they got in through a port access point that maybe they thought was down or something like that, they could run this and they'd be able to tell that this protocol is not being used over here. Okay. I had no idea what this was.
Which of the following is a command line packet capturing utility? Learning 5.5. Given a scenario, use the appropriate what you need to know. The netstat command allows for checking the state of unused protocols on a local host. Service misconfigurations can be found by using this command. The Address Resolution Protocol, ARP.
It is not reading this one, it's reading what the last one was.
TCP dump is a packet analyzer that is launched from the command line. It can analyze network traffic by intercepting and displaying packets created or received by the computer it is running.
Okay, this is why it's important to read along and do this, because I kept reading this as TCP dump. I was like, what is TCP dump? TCP dump. And now that it read it as TCP dump, I was like, oh my God, it's TCP UDP. Like, that makes total sense. It's a TCP dump is a packet analyzer. Well, of course it is, because TCP is how packets are transferred. Duh. That is launched from a command line. It can analyze network traffic by intercepting and displaying packets created or received by the computer it is running on. So what was the question again? Which of the following is a command line packet capturing utility? TCP dump makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't know what these others are, so we're going to continue going on, but that makes a lot of sense.
Question. Which TCP dump is a packet analyzer that is launched from the command line. It can analyze network traffic by intercepting and displaying packets created or received by the computer it is running on. ZenMap is a free and open source GUI for Nmap. It is available on many operating systems and makes Nmap easier to use.
Don't need.
Netcat is a utility tool that uses TCP and UDP connections to read and write in a network. It can be used.
Okay, so Netcat is the closest one to the TCP dump. So which of the following is a command line packet capture utility? It's not Netcat, although it's close, because Netcat uses TCP and UDP connections to read, but it's not going to capture.
Used for both attacking and security. Nmap can find live hosts on a network, perform port scanning, ping sweeps, OS detection.
So Nmap and Netcat basically are, if you combine them together, you'd get a TCP dump. Okay, that's not how it is, but if they did Fusion Ha, that's what it would do.
Had labeled the cabling in the organization's headquarters building. What tool can the technician use to locate the ends of each cable for labeling?
Network tone generator. Oh my God, boys, we're almost done.
IT security specialists respond to a security breach. An investigation determines that open service ports on an old server were the entry point for malicious activity. Which of the following utilities should the specialists use to determine the cause of the breach? Answer, ARP.
I don't know why.
Which of the following is a command line packet capturing utility?
TCP dump.
A cable installer is testing fiber optic cable for spectral attenuation with the goal of ensuring that each channel has enough
OSA.
power to support wavelength division multiplexing. After plugging a cable into a computer, a user reports there is no network access. Which of the following tools would the technician most likely check to verify that the cable was crimped correctly?
Okay, so this is why loopback plug, it makes sense, but it's not right. It's a trick. Because he says he plugs the cable into the computer. The user reports that there's no thing. A loopback plug is you plug it into the serial port on a computer or a device to determine if that port is correct or good, as far as I know. But that's not the issue. We want to know what is the most likely check to verify if the cable was crimped correctly. And we want a cable certifier. Yes. Not tone probe. Cable certifier. Yes. Last one.
Following a cybersecurity incident, IT security analysts discovered that unauthorized access was gained through unused
See how we did. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. That one was hard. So, here's where we are with it. I've spent 37 hours studying where the average person does 4. Jesus Christ. Okay. Next week, what we're going to do is every single morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are going to do a different section. These are going to be very long streams. Okay, because each section is going to require probably about 2 hours to review. All right. So these are going to be, to me, these are long streams. I know that there's people who stream for like 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That's not what we're going to do. Okay. So that's what's going on with this. And then we are going to take a practice test too. We're not going to do that today or anything like that. I'm most likely going to stream tonight and play some Mario. Might do some Donkey Kong. I haven't decided. Maybe Halo, but we're definitely gonna play some games of some kind. If you have any requests or anything like that, let me know. You know, drop it down in the comments below or anything like that. But we're done. I feel very good. I'm very happy that I've completed this and that it's over. I just got to make sure that it's strong, and then take the test to prove to myself that I can do it. And then I'll be making a video very, very shortly. I don't know if I'm gonna do it on stream because it'll be very boring and tedious, but I'm gonna make a video of me creating my home server and you know, getting it all back there and everything like that. It's gonna be kind of poo-poo in the beginning, but it'll grow and become better as it goes. So that's what's going on. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for staying with me through all of the ups and downs that had happened today. Really appreciate it. Go ahead, if you haven't already, subscribe if you enjoyed it. Give it a follow on Twitch if you're there. Drop a like, comment below, tell a friend, do all that good stuff. I'm out of here. Makale Checo.